The sun was high over the dusty alien market, casting long shadows on the ground. Everything felt dry, tired, and heavy. The stalls were filled with strange objects, tools, weapons, fruits from alien trees, and creatures with sad, empty eyes. Daniel, a quiet human man in his mid-30s, walked slowly through the marketplace, holding the hands of his two daughters, Emma and Lily. Emma was 10, always asking questions. Lily was 6, always watching everything with big, curious eyes. They had come to this alien colony for a visit. Daniel was here on a work trip, but he thought it would be fun to let his girls see a new world. He didn't expect this part of the market. It was called the chain row. Here, alien women were kept behind iron bars or tied in thick chains. Most of them didn't even lift their heads. Some were blue-skinned, others had horns, a few had glowing eyes. All of them were silent. Daniel didn't like this place. But the girls were pulling him forward. "Daddy, who are they?" Emma asked. Daniel hesitated. "Servants," he said. "Or, prisoners. Some people buy them to help with work." Lily frowned. "Why are they sad?" Before he could answer, a tall alien man stepped in front of them. His skin was gray and cracked like old stone. He smiled with yellow teeth. "Human," he said. "Pick one. Good deal today. Obedient. Loyal. Silent." Daniel shook his head. "We're just looking." The trader laughed. "Looking becomes choosing. Let the little ones pick. It's safe. They don't bite anymore." Daniel was about to turn away when Emma suddenly gasped. "Daddy, look." She pointed toward a platform made of metal and wood. A green-skinned woman was kneeling there, her hands chained behind her back, ankles bound in thick metal. Her red hair fell over her shoulders like fire. She wore a torn dress, more like battle armor than clothes. She wasn't looking down like the others. She was staring forward, calm and quiet, but there was something dangerous in her eyes. Lily whispered, "She's pretty." Daniel looked around. No one else was paying attention to her. The trader stepped forward again quickly. His voice was lower this time. "Not her. She's not for sale." Emma didn't stop staring. "Why not?" The trader glanced at Daniel. "She's marked. Forbidden. Dangerous. Not for families. Not for anyone." "Then why is she here?" Daniel asked. "Punishment. Reminder. Showpiece," the trader said. "But not to be touched." But the girls wouldn't stop. "She looks sad," Lily said. "I want her to come with us." Daniel felt something cold in his chest. There was a strange feeling in the air. He looked at the woman again. She was still staring forward, not blinking, but now he saw it, she was listening. Her jaw clenched when the girl spoke. "She's different," Daniel said softly. The trader leaned in. "You don't want her. She killed humans. Rebellion fighter. Her kind started the fire on planet Vega. They called her Vael the Flame." Daniel blinked. The name sounded familiar. A war criminal. But his daughters didn't understand any of this. They only saw a woman in chains, alone and quiet, while others looked away. "Daddy," Emma whispered. "That one. Please." Daniel stared at the woman. For a second, he saw her eyes shift, just a little. She looked at him. Not begging. Not afraid. But seeing him. And suddenly, he couldn't move. "Please," Lily said again, hugging his leg. "Can she come with us?" Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He felt like something heavy had dropped inside him. The trader stepped back. "Choose another. Or walk away." But Daniel wasn't looking at the trader anymore. He was staring into the eyes of the woman they called Vael the Flame, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt fear. Not of her, but of what choosing her might mean. And still, his daughters held his hands tighter, waiting for his answer. Daniel felt the noise of the market fade around him. The sounds were still there, metal clanking, voices shouting, creatures crying, but inside his head, everything was quiet. His daughters were still holding his hands, waiting. The green-skinned woman remained on her knees, chains tight around her wrists and ankles, her back straight like she refused to bend even in chains. The trader cleared his throat. "Human," he said carefully, "you heard me. She is forbidden. Pick another and go in peace." Daniel finally spoke. "You said I could pick one." "Yes," the trader replied quickly. "But not her." Emma looked up at Daniel. "Daddy, why is everyone scared of her?" Daniel didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed on the woman. Up close, he could see marks on her skin, old scars, not fresh wounds. This wasn't someone who broke easily. This was someone who had already lost everything. "She doesn't look like a monster," Lily said softly. The trader snapped, "Looks mean nothing. That one burned cities. She fought humans. Killed them without mercy." At the word killed, the market felt colder. Daniel's jaw tightened. "In the war," he said slowly, "a lot of people killed each other." The trader's eyes narrowed. "She didn't surrender when others did. She refused to bow. Her people called her a hero. We call her a warning." Daniel stepped closer to the platform. The chains rattled slightly. The woman finally turned her head fully toward him. Her eyes were sharp, bright, and painfully calm. She spoke. "You should not be here." The trader froze. "She doesn't speak human," he said fast. But Daniel heard her clearly. "You understand me," Daniel said. The woman's lips pressed into a thin line. "Enough." Emma gasped. "Daddy, she talks." The trader backed away a step. "Impossible. She was never taught. She learned by listening," Daniel said. The woman looked at the girls then. Her expression changed, just a little. Not soft. But careful. "You should not choose me," she said quietly. "They will not forgive you." "Why?" Lily asked. The woman closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, something heavy lived there. "Because I remember who I was." Daniel felt a strange weight in his chest. "What's your name?" The trader shouted, "Do not ask that." But the woman answered anyway. "Vael." The name fell into the air like a stone. The trader hissed, "Vael the Flame." People nearby started to whisper. A few stepped back. Others watched with interest now. Daniel remembered the news reports from years ago. A rebel leader. An alien commander who refused peace talks. A symbol of resistance. He never imagined he would see her like this, on her knees, in chains, sold like an object. "You're not for sale," Daniel said. Vael gave a short, dry laugh. "No. I am here to be broken." Emma shook her head. "That's not fair." The trader raised his voice. "Human, take your children and leave. If you touch this, you will regret it." Daniel looked down at his daughters. "You understand this could be dangerous?" Emma nodded. "She didn't look away from us." Lily added, "She looks lonely." Daniel exhaled slowly. He turned back to the trader. "What's the price?" The trader's eyes went wide. "You don't want that trouble." "I didn't ask what I want," Daniel said. "I asked the price." Silence spread through the chain row. Vael stared at him now, truly looking. "Why?" she asked. "Humans don't do this." Daniel swallowed. "Because my daughters asked me to see you." For the first time, Vael looked unsure. The trader leaned close to Daniel and whispered, "If you take her, the law will come. Soldiers. Questions. Your life will change." Daniel looked at Vael. Then at his daughters. "I know," he said. The trader straightened, fear and greed fighting in his eyes. "Then you are a fool, or something worse." Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out his credit chip. Vael's chains tightened as guards moved closer. And somewhere above the market, a warning signal began to hum, soft, but growing louder. Something had been set in motion. And there would be no turning back. The market guards were moving fast now. 2 of them pushed through the crowd, weapons in hand. Their armor clanked loudly, making everyone step aside. Daniel didn't flinch. He stood tall, his credit chip still in his hand. His daughters stayed close, holding his legs tightly. Vael stayed on her knees, but her eyes followed the guards. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. The trader tried to act calm, but sweat ran down the side of his face. "You see. I warned you. She's protected by command order. Touch her, and you invite the law." Daniel didn't move. "Let them come. I made my choice." The guards reached the platform. One of them shouted, "Step back. That prisoner is not to be handled." "She's not your prisoner anymore," Daniel said. He tossed the chip at the trader's feet. "That's her price. Paid in full." The trader opened his mouth, but no words came out. The chip blinked green, it was valid. It was done. The second guard aimed his weapon. "Sir, you've violated Colonial Directive 7. You are interfering with restricted property." "She's not property," Daniel said quietly. "Not anymore." The crowd was now completely silent. Merchants, aliens, humans, they were watching something no one had seen before. The first guard looked at the trader. "Is this true?" The trader hesitated. "He paid. I can't stop him now." Vael turned her head slightly. "You didn't expect him to do it," she said. "No," the trader whispered. "No one ever does." The guard stared at Daniel for a long moment. Then one of them tapped his helmet, speaking into a radio. "We need backup. A code, 17. Repeat, human civilian has claimed the forbidden." Daniel looked at his daughters. "Stay close." The guards didn't fire. They didn't move either. For now, they just waited. Vael stood slowly. The chains still held her, but she rose tall, proud. The way she moved made the guards shift nervously. Daniel climbed the platform and reached for her chains. Vael stared at him as his fingers touched the lock. "You shouldn't do this," she said. "I already did," he answered. The lock clicked open. The chains fell. Gasps spread through the market. Vael stepped down from the platform. The crowd moved back as she walked, barefoot, her red hair waving in the hot wind. She stood next to Daniel's daughters. Neither girl ran. In fact, Lily reached out, and gently took Vael's hand. Vael looked down, eyes wide. The little girl smiled. "You don't have to kneel anymore." Vael didn't speak. Her hand slowly closed around the child's. The guard's radio beeped again. "Command says detain them all," one of them said. Daniel sighed. "Of course they do." He turned to Vael. "Can you fight?" Vael blinked. "Not with these." She lifted her wrists, red and raw from the chains. Daniel reached into his bag and pulled out a small first aid device. He began cleaning her wrists. "Then we'll run." "You have children," Vael said. "They will follow you forever." "I know," Daniel replied. "I just couldn't leave you." Vael looked at him with something unreadable in her face. The guard stepped forward. Then something unexpected happened. The crowd blocked the way. One merchant stood in front of the guards. Another joined him. Even a few aliens moved in. They didn't speak. They didn't shout. They just stood there. The guard growled, "Move, or be charged with obstruction." No one moved. Daniel took his daughter's hands. "Now," he whispered. He and Vael slipped into the crowd, helped by strangers who pretended not to see them. They vanished into the maze of alleys behind the market. Breathing heavy, Daniel leaned against a wall. Vael stood beside him, finally free, but uncertain. Emma looked up at her. "Are you okay now?" Vael's voice was quiet. "I don't know." Lily smiled. "You will be." Far behind them, alarms were ringing. Soldiers were coming. But for now, they had made a choice. One that could never be undone. And somewhere deep inside Vael's chest, something long dead began to wake. They ran until their legs hurt. The narrow alleys behind the market twisted like a maze. Pipes dripped from walls. The smell of metal, oil, and old dust filled the air. Daniel led the way, holding both of his daughters tightly. Vael followed behind, moving fast even without shoes, her chains now gone but her wrists still bruised. They finally stopped in an old storage room behind a closed workshop. Daniel shut the door and locked it. The room was small, with only broken crates and a single cracked window, but it was safe for now. Everyone was breathing hard. Vael leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. Her green skin looked pale under the light. She had barely spoken since they escaped. Lily walked up to her and held out a water bottle. "You're thirsty," she said simply. Vael looked down. She took the bottle slowly, as if unsure she was allowed. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel sat down on an old crate. His heart was still racing. "They'll be looking for us now. We don't have long." Emma sat beside him. "Daddy, who is she really?" Daniel looked at Vael. "That's what I want to know too." Vael opened her eyes and spoke in a low voice. "You know my name. But not my story." Daniel nodded. "Then tell us." Vael stood up straight. She walked to the center of the room, eyes staring at nothing. "I was born during the war. My people were proud. Free. We lived in forests, in cities built inside mountains. We believed the galaxy was big enough for all of us." She paused, then continued. "Then the humans came." Emma frowned. "But, we didn't mean to hurt anyone." Vael looked at her gently. "I don't blame you. But not all humans were like your father." Daniel listened carefully. He'd read history reports, but they never sounded like this. "They came to our lands with machines and fire," Vael said. "They said it was for peace. Said we would be protected. But protection became control. Control became prisons. My people fought back." Her voice changed now, harder, sharper. "I led the last resistance on my planet. We burned their supply lines. We freed the captured. We fought for freedom." Daniel remembered the name now, Vael the Flame. The media had called her a terrorist. A war criminal. But she didn't sound like one now. "How did they catch you?" he asked. Vael's jaw clenched. "They betrayed us. Promised peace talks. I went to speak. They drugged me. Took me in chains while my people watched." Emma looked sad. "That's not fair." "No," Vael said. "It wasn't." She sat down slowly, her body tired. "They moved me from prison to prison. Then the orders changed. They didn't want to kill me. They wanted to break me. Show me as a slave. So others would lose hope." Daniel shook his head. "That's why they kept you in that market. Not for money. For fear. Vael looked at him. And yet you still chose me. He met her eyes. Because my daughters saw something I didn't. Lily smiled. You're not scary. Vael almost smiled, but her face stayed quiet. You are strange, little one. Suddenly, a beep came from Daniel's wristband. A message flashed, warning, government alert. All transports closed. Suspect identified. Armed forces active. Daniel cursed under his breath. They've locked the city down. Vael stood again. You need to leave me. No, Emma said quickly. Yes, Vael said. You have children. A home. I'm not worth. You are, Daniel cut in. My daughters chose you. And I choose to protect that choice. Vael stared at him, confused. Why? Daniel looked at his girls. Because we're not the people who built your prison. We're the ones trying to tear it down. Silence filled the room. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Vael whispered something in her native tongue, soft, strange, and sad. What does that mean? Lily asked. Vael looked out the window. It means, maybe not all humans are the enemy. Outside, the sound of soldiers echoed in the distance. The hunt had begun. Inside, a broken warrior, a father, and two brave little girls prepared for whatever came next. The night came fast. Outside, the city was locked down. Drones flew overhead, their red lights scanning every street, every shadow. Soldiers moved in groups, faces covered, weapons ready. They weren't looking for a criminal anymore, they were looking for Vael. Inside the small storage room, Daniel was pacing. His daughters were asleep on the floor, curled up in old blankets. Vael sat quietly in the corner, her eyes watching the window. We can't stay here, Daniel said. They'll find us. It's only a matter of time. Vael nodded. Then go. Daniel stopped. What? You should leave, Vael said softly. Take your daughters and go. They won't punish you if you leave me behind. You're a human. A father. You'll be forgiven. Daniel frowned. And what about you? Vael looked away. I'll be a lesson again. A symbol of what happens to those who still resist. Daniel sat down, tired. You really believe I'd walk away after everything? Vael didn't answer. He sighed. Why does everyone expect me to betray you? Because it's easier, she said. Safer. He looked at her scars, the broken skin around her wrists, and the way she always sat close to the wall, never in the center of the room. Like someone who never stopped preparing for the worst. I don't do easy, Daniel said. She studied him. You're not like the others. Before Daniel could speak again, there was a knock. Not a loud one. Just, one single knock. Then silent. Daniel's body tensed. He picked up a metal rod from the floor and crept toward the door. Don't open it, Vael warned. Could be a trap. I know, he whispered. But it could also be help. He looked through a tiny crack. Outside stood a young alien boy, no older than 14, eyes wide and nervous. Daniel opened the door just a little. What do you want? I saw you at the market, the boy said fast. You helped her. I know a way out. Vael stepped forward. Why would you help me? The boy's hands shook. Because my mother died in the fire, the one human started. She said your name before she died. She said you were hope. Vael's expression changed. For the first time, her voice cracked. What's your name? Kieran, he said. There's an old freight tunnel beneath the docks. It's abandoned. No scanners. You can use it. But you have to hurry. Daniel didn't wait. He gently shook Emma and Lily awake. Girls, it's time. Quiet now. They blinked sleepily but didn't ask questions. Vael looked at Kieran. You could get arrested for helping us. I know, he said. But you already lost everything for us. It's time someone gave something back. They followed him through the back alleys. The streets were alive with soldiers, but Kieran knew every shadow, every turn. They crawled through old vents, climbed fences, and slipped through broken gates. Finally, they reached the docks. The sky was heavy with clouds. Ships floated in the distance, engines humming low. No one noticed the small hatch under an old rusted crate. This is it, Kieran said. Vael turned to him. You're brave. He smiled. No. Just tired of being afraid. Daniel pulled the hatch open and dropped down first, then helped the girls. Vael followed last. The tunnel was dark, cold, and smelled of rust, but it was freedom. Kieran waved one last time. Good luck. Then he vanished into the night. They walked for nearly an hour. The tunnel was long, but at the end was a maintenance door. Daniel pushed it open, and fresh air hit his face. They were outside the city now. Fields stretched beyond them. A small private shuttle pad glowed in the distance. Daniel smiled. We made it. But behind them, a noise echoed. Boots. Voices. Vael turned. They're coming. Daniel looked at his daughters. Run to the shuttle. Don't stop. What about you? Emma asked. I'll be right behind you, he said. Vael touched his arm. We'll hold the line. Just long enough. Daniel nodded. As his daughters ran, he turned with Vael to face the tunnel. Soldiers were getting close. And Daniel, once just a quiet man from Earth, now stood beside a warrior who had once been the enemy. But not tonight. Tonight, they stood together. The sound of boots grew louder inside the tunnel. Shouts echoed against the walls. They were close now. The soldiers had found them. Daniel stood in the field, just outside the exit hatch, his heart pounding. His daughters were already halfway to the small shuttle hidden behind an old cargo building. The night wind was cold, but sweat still dripped down his back. Beside him stood Vael. No chains. No collar. No fear. Just a calm face and tired eyes that had seen too much. You don't have to stay, she said quietly. You've already given me more than anyone else ever did. Daniel looked back toward the shuttle, where his girls had stopped and turned to look at him. I promised them I'd protect you. Vael blinked. Even if it costs you everything? He smiled slightly. Some things are worth the cost. Suddenly, the hatch burst open behind them. Four soldiers stormed out, weapons raised, red lights on their rifles dancing in the dark. Freeze, one of them shouted. On your knees, now. Daniel didn't move. Vael stepped forward. Her voice was strong and clear. I am Vael of the Flame. You want me? Then come take me. The soldiers looked shocked. They hadn't expected her to speak. Or stand so tall. One of them shouted, Target is armed. She wasn't. But they didn't care. A shot fired. It missed her shoulder by inches, burning the grass. Daniel raised his hands. Stop. There are children here. Then surrender, another soldier barked. Vael looked at Daniel. If I go back, they might let you live. Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he walked forward slowly, putting himself between her and the soldiers. Behind them, Emma screamed, Daddy. The soldiers hesitated. They hadn't been trained for this, a civilian, unarmed, protecting a classified alien rebel. And children watching. The leader growled, you're protecting a criminal. Daniel said, no. I'm protecting someone who's more human than any of you right now. The soldier stepped forward. This is your final warning. Then a voice came. From the trees behind them. Stand down. It was calm, firm, and full of authority. Every oak froze. Even the wind seemed to pause. A figure stepped out of the shadows, an older woman in a dark coat, wearing no armor, but carrying the quiet power of someone important. Her ID badge glowed softly on her chest. Colonial Director Rena Salas. The soldiers immediately stood at attention. Ma'am. We have the target surrounded. She. Lower your weapons, Salas said coldly. All of you. But she's under my direct protection now. The soldiers obeyed slowly, confused. Vael's eyes narrowed. Why now? She asked. Salas walked closer, her gaze calm. Because the public saw what happened. Someone leaked footage of the market. Of your daughters choosing her. Of the crowd protecting you. People are asking questions. Real questions. Daniel blinked. You're not here to arrest us. Salas looked at the girls watching from the shuttle, then back at him. No. I'm here to end this, before it becomes worse. Vael stepped forward carefully. You tortured my people. You locked me in chains. Salas nodded. Yes. And we called it peace. Silence hung in the air. Then Salas did something no one expected. She bowed her head. I'm not asking you to forgive us, she said. But I am offering something better than a cage. Freedom. A new path. You've already started it, by simply standing together. Vael looked stunned. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she spoke. I will never forget what was done. And you shouldn't, Salas said. But maybe now, you can help shape what comes next. Daniel stepped beside Vael. What does that mean? Salas smiled faintly. It means, come with me. Help us fix what we broke. Show them who Vael really is. Not a weapon. Not a prisoner. But a voice. Vael looked at Daniel. Then at the girls, waiting at the shuttle. For the first time, her expression softened. I will go, she said. But only if they come too. Salas nodded. Then let's rewrite everything. 3 months later. The story of Vael the Flame had changed. No longer hunted, she now stood in front of millions, speaking at the Unity Council on Earth. Her story, of war, betrayal, and survival, was no longer buried. Daniel sat in the front row, his daughters beside him, proud. The world had changed because of a simple moment. When 2 little girls pointed to someone the galaxy had tried to forget and said, that one. And their father, instead of turning away, chose to listen.